Big weekend in Tallahassee. What about it, Noles fans? Let's get to it here. We got big game James Coleman on the line from fifth quarter college football. And, of course, Logan Robinson, NoleGameDay. It's our 102nd edition of Florida State Seminoles Live right here. Boys, how we doing?
Doing fantastic, chilling like a villain. I know we're missing Jason, but I think maybe me and James might be able to hold it down. We got at least a lot to talk about. We don't have to get too creative tonight, so we got a lot to run through the next 55 minutes. A lot to run through.
I don't know. I've got my doubts on whether you guys can hold down the fort, but you guys are going to have to prove it to me without Jason.
We're going to try.
Logan and I got together this week. We talked a few position previews that we will release here soon. So Logan was able to give us a feel on wide receiver and linebacker in terms of what happened during the spring game and throughout the season, throughout the spring sessions, and then leading into fall camp. So James, we'll start with you in regards to the spring game. I don't know how much you were locked in on what was actually happening on the field with everything else going on, but your first impressions.
Overall, I mean, it was spring games are like kindergarten graduations, and Easter speeches is not really the greatest thing in the world. Like, you don't really show everything, especially when you have them on, when it's televised on ESPN. On ACC Network. But you saw them fly around. You saw some flashes in the young wide receiver position. You saw Mackenzie Milton looked a lot better than the 2-second clip at times. But then at times he showed rust in that knee. But you also realize that he can't be touched. I saw Jordan Travis continue to look a lot better than what we saw last year. Defensively, though, on the edge we're good, but interior D-line, I'm concerned. And I don't know what our secondary is. So, but all in all, some good, some bad. A lot of it could change with the way these young guys come in and the way people progress over the next few months in summer workouts.
Hey, James, I'll throw this at you. You let me know if this makes sense. So for your typical spring game, and I actually like the way Florida State did it, because who cares who wins the game? You split up the squad. That's a clubhouse locker room thing. If there's some kind of bet going or the winner gets this, the loser has to do that, whatever. But outside of that, in terms of evaluation, I like the way FSU did it, because it wasn't, okay, we got two teams, therefore we got two offenses, two defenses, and we're splitting up our team four different ways. We're just going offense and defense. Therefore, for one thing, you can keep the offensive line together. Those guys need to play together. In terms of splitting up offensive linemen, taking your three best, having them over here, your other two best over here, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense when you're trying to evaluate and develop. So you at least keep the most important unit on the field in terms of cohesion and chemistry. You keep them together, number one. Number two, the thing I think of that seems to be the most valid is you see those island matchups between wide receivers and defensive backs, and they're pretty much like a game. That's the one thing that's, to me, the most like a game, is the wide receiver against the corner, and see who wins that matchup.
I might be lagging.
I think and that's where you saw guys like Brian Robinson excel.
James, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. We missed all that. So start us over on your thoughts about that.
Oh, I said that's where you see guys like Brian Robinson did very, very well. McLean, forgive me for not knowing his name off the top, and Joshua Burrell. Guys that came in, really were eager, hungry, and kind of showed themselves. And you add, hopefully, a Destin Hill in the fall, and Parchment coming in. Like that, now you have 5 wide receivers that could potentially be able to cause matchups for about 8 of your opponents, and give you some really tough looks to maybe even your better opponents. So, but what I will say with this, having as much young talent in the secondary, that kind of does also scare me, that the fact that it's 2 true freshmen and a third-year player. And Robinson, who's coming off of who hasn't been fully healthy since he's been there. I will say this: there's one glaring thing that, and maybe Logan can maybe explain, because I know Logan has a little bit better relationship with the guys that he can explain this away to me. But the one thing that a lot of other former players saw, and I'm bringing this up because you talked about the secondary, is for as much as it's been written about the gains that everybody made, those do not look like Division I football players in key positions. I have never seen a secondary that small, and the way they wear the jerseys don't help them either. They're very baggy. When I came up, we wore skin tight jerseys. In fact, my jersey was so tight that I did not have to buckle my shoulder pads. I could just put my jersey on, and wasn't nothing moving. But I was a little concerned about that in comparison to what a guy like Joshua Burrell looks like and what Brian Robinson looked like. Our secondary, outside of Akeem Dent, I think Akeem Dent looks the part. Just from what I saw, that in our linebacker core concerned me a little bit as well. But you add some more key pieces in the fall in the secondary, and those should be some battles that should be fun. That should be fun, at least during August and fall camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was seeing some stuff too talked about on Twitter, James. I agree. I'm looking at the spring game now, and I was far away from seeing the guys close up in person. But during at least the spring scrimmages, I thought there was still some cats, like definitely Toafili. Some people were saying that he's gained like 10 pounds. I'm not seeing. I don't know where that's being gained at. Maybe in the cleats they're adding in rocks or something. But body weight, no. But But most of these guys I'm watching now, definitely on TV here. Some of these cats do look definitely smaller. I think it's just going to take a lot. I think things are going well in the weight room. I think guys are making some gains, but obviously they do. Florida State has looked like this the last 3 years. They just don't look the part of Georgia or Oklahoma or definitely in Alabama. It's just they weren't even that really close to that. They were kind of with them in 2017 when they faced Alabama, but right now, I think there's a whole lot of work to be done during this offseason to build these guys some muscle, some weight, some football weight. James, actually having some football weight to be able to shed blocks, get off blocks, make blocks, and bring just a physical attitude too. So I was hearing the same thing too across the social media world.
James, in terms of Mackenzie Milton, you mentioned a little bit better than what we had seen or what Logan in particular had seen being out at the live scrimmages. Before that, there were 3 throws that he made that Logan and I talked about the other day that I really thought were pretty exceptional early on. Hit a play down the right side. Defender was right on it. Lofted it right over the shoulder. He had a ball down the middle, double coverage, was able to, not necessarily double coverage in terms of the way the defense was schemed, but there were 2 men there. He lofted it perfectly. And then maybe the most important or most impressive throw didn't necessarily look the most impressive, but in terms of the coordination between he and the receiver, forget who it was. Milton threw it to the pylon on his back shoulder.
Brian
Robinson.
Had the
timing. Yeah. Brian Robinson just right where he calls in the touchdown reception.
Yeah. What I'll say is, he's a gamer and that's cool, right? I'd rather have that than not, but you gotta be able to do it in so that the coaches can see it so that you can do it. Because from the reports that I was seeing, that I was hearing, and it wasn't that he was just trash. It's just that Jordan Travis is having a better camp, which is fine as well. One report from one of the new Seminole public relations sites, Wardan247 or Seminoles.com, even reported that his best day, he was still not better than Jordan Travis. But when the lights cut on, he looked the part. He looked extremely good, and considering. Now, again, you don't have to get hit. You're not going to have that wear and tear. He was able to – I was just looking at how he was scrambling and moving. One of the throws that really set the internet on fire, and anybody who knows me, I was actually black and high. Since people like to pick stuff, I'm pro whatever doesn't get me 3 and 6. But at the same time, it's like, if it's Mackenzie Milton, great. I think Jordan Travis with his legs gives us the best chance at this juncture right now. But he dropped back and he climbed the pocket and he threw it to Burrell. I think that might have been one of the throws you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal throw, really, really good. We've seen Jordan Travis do that 3 to 5 times last season. They all went for touchdowns. So it's in the offense. And one of the things that I questioned was, if that works, why don't we do that more? But then I was told that last year's offense wasn't really what a Mike Norvell offense is. So I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to be able to see that more. But the fact that he was able to do it impressed me, because what I was seeing wasn't necessarily his fault, was more of our SID's fault for letting that even show. Somebody should have looked at that highlight before they put it out and said, that does not look good. Let's cut that little slip out and play the rest of it. But I think what they did in the spring game at least kind of makes teams have to continue to try to game plan for both quarterbacks, both Jordan Travis and McKenzie Milton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was shocked by, I wouldn't say like crazy shocked, but I was a little surprised by Milton's performance because of the things that we were hearing during practices and then being in person, definitely during that second scrimmage, about how bad it was, just not connecting with receivers. Balls were being thrown short 4 yards before reaching the feet of a wide receiver or running back down the field or a tight end, and it just wasn't pretty. He had a really bad second scrimmage, and things weren't really connecting with him during the first scrimmage. So, there was some reports, like James was saying, that hearing some things that Milton was starting to get it together here and things were looking brighter there, but it still was not on the same level as Jordan Travis. And we'd been talking about this. I've been still thinking that this is Jordan Travis's job to lose. And we see Milton, and we talked about it too, previewing the spring game. I was like, watch Milton here. Watch him actually have a pretty decent day and show out a little bit, because I feel like these kind of players like him, game managers, guys with experience, they do well. They do better with more pressure on them. They got fans in the stands. And sure enough, Milton's dealing balls that I was there for 2.5 hours, 3 hours to both scrimmages. Those balls weren't even close. And the way that he had the touch on him was beautiful. That was the Milton, that we got to see at UCF, and he performed very well on Saturday. He was making the right reads and put the ball only where the receivers could get him. Literally, I think that one of my favorite throws, I think it was to Burrell. I mean, that you got two defenders there, fit it right in the pocket there, only for where Burrell could get it. The McLean one was gorgeous too. And Akeem Dent had great coverage here. I'm watching it right now. Akeem Dent had really good coverage on it, but you can tell that he's been connecting and working a lot with McLean and building chemistry since he first arrived. That cat has been in a lot of series during the scrimmages that we got to see Malik McLean and also Burrell. So it's good to see that like a young movement too coming in through this wide receiver room, because it's felt like it's been extremely stale the last 2 years, and it's time for an overhaul, and it's only going to get better once Destin Hill and Parchment arrive.
Got a note here that because it was mentioned in the live chat, just wanted to follow up on this. I don't think this is necessarily a point of discussion because he hasn't seen the field, but just catch everybody up on the news of the day. Former 3-star defensive lineman from 2019, Curtis Fan Jr., hit the transfer portal, redshirted 2 years ago, didn't see the field in 2020. But again, Curtis Fan Jr. in the transfer portal. We got James Coleman on the line from Fifth Quarter College Football, Sports Den Live. And James, we're going to let you take it away in regards to just letting people know where they can find you.
Yeah, at Big Game James _36 is the best way to follow me and all the different things. For whatever reason, I guess I started right after Rivalry, so I did an offensive spring game analysis a couple of days ago. The defensive analysis should be up. We also have an interview with Charity Grady, the name, image, and likeness liaison and on-campus recruiting coordinator for Florida State. That's all on fifthquarter.net, or you can just go to my on Twitter and find that. And at SportsDen _live, we do a live broadcast of my radio show 5 nights a week. I would tell you what time, but it's kind of random right now. It depends on when they put us up. I'll be on from 7 to 9 tonight. If you go on the Facebook page, you go on Twitter, you can be able to see it live or YouTube. We also have spots on Spotify, Google Play, and podcasts. So those are basically the things and that's what I do. Oh, and I got my 501c3 today. So Mentors for the Kids, that's kind of what the hat stands for. Well, one of the meanings of the hat. So that's where my community service, book bag giveaways, food drives, stump camps, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, James, you're doing some amazing work out there, and we've talked about it a few times. We probably need to talk about it more and get it out there more to the folks that stop in here that may not necessarily know about it. So what is the best way to get in contact with you if anybody's interested? And, give us a quick explanation of who you're helping and how you're helping them.
Well, Mentors for the Kids is basically anybody who was like me. You grew up in tough. It doesn't matter what your race, ethnicity are, black, white, blue, purple. If you're a kid and you're trying to do the right thing, is really to try to give you a hand up. People talk about pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, but what about the people who ain't got no boots? You can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps if you ain't got no boots. So I'm at least providing you boots so you can do the rest of it on your own. Mm-hmm. But some of the things that I've seen as a guy who's used sports to leverage himself into his next phase of life. So we're doing tech. I do a lot of I invest in a lot of tech companies. Basically, what we're doing right now is using technology to talk about sports and showing how you can make money doing those things. So we're going to do a tech camp, hopefully in June, a sports camp. We do book bag giveaway. So the goal is to give between 1,000 to 1,500 book bags between Jacksonville and Tallahassee. And then whatever we don't use, like we did last year, we sent about 100 down to Miami, PAL, to help them do a book bag giveaway. There's people, Savannah, Georgia as well. So it's really just in my places, but hopefully it's aspiring and inspiring people in other places to be able to do what they need to do and helping them at least the jump start to it. So it's not just for athletes. It's just me being an athlete, trying to give back to the youth, because last thing I want to do is see another kid get shot over not having enough resources. Because think about it, 90% of the problems that I got to before I found sports was because I was hungry. So if I could help people not do that, then we can maybe curtail some of this dumb stuff that's going on in the world.
Absolutely. It's a great cause. Let's see. Making money through sports and technology. I'm certainly not the guy to be teaching that. YouTube, I got football. I'm not making it happen yet, but we're working on it. Logan, you guys are tearing it up at NoleGameDay. So what are people going to find over there?
It's all over the place. Mainly, we're just doing shows every Thursday night at 8:30, trying to bring on guests and try to bring on some entertainment. We had a good interview with Nico Marchiol, Florida State's 4-star quarterback commit last week that everybody can go check out. I thought he did a really well job of talking and answering questions, not only just doing that, but being dialed in and detailing some certain things with the recruiting class that he's in, along with the coaching staff, and his relationship with players currently on the team and how that's building and growing their class and everything that goes along with it. So that was last week on our show, and really just covering a lot of recruiting right now. Basketball is over, so that's died down. So now it's all onto recruiting, and it seems like, lean into our next couple of topics here. It seems like Florida State has some extra pieces they're going to play into recruiting, because right now, the way that Florida State's been laying out these announcements in the last 2 weeks has worked out in their favor. And so we're really just trying to keep up with what Florida State's announcing every other day. It's not easy. James knows it's nonstop stuff. And then also the NFL draft's coming up, and I'm a big NFL guy, so we try to do a lot of NFL draft coverage and figure out if Asante Samuel is going to come to my Steelers or not. See if Mike Tomlin actually does it. So we'll see. But yeah, that's practically it.
Good stuff. Before we move on to the recruiting and a couple other topics, is there anything else from the spring game that's worth talking about?
Anything
really just the recruiting.
Yeah, let's get to that. Big weekend, tons of players in, supposed to be over 100. I'm hearing like 80, 85 made it in, something in that range. Start with you, James, in regards to how meaningful that is.
Well, you got to hit, like, no matter if it's a slow pitch down the middle, you got to hit it. You got to hit it out the park. So the easy thing to say would be, of course we had that many top guys. Nobody else had spring game that weekend. But the weather, COVID, they got to do it on their own. They're not really getting – we're still in a dead period. The fact that you had that many guys come, have a good time, and essentially host themselves speaks volumes. There was a young man who was at my tailgate because of who his coach was. I played with Mark Lewis. I think it's Trayshawn Webb? Anyway, the running back from Trinity, 5-star running back. Him and a couple of other kids, you saw them. There was a contingent from Dillard High School to make sure that they came up. There was a lot of guys. There were some guys who didn't show up, but there was a lot of guys who came, and all they talked about was how crisp it looked, how good it looked. And I'm not going to argue that. That's semantics. The fact that that's what they're seeing is all that matters. And they got a chance to, and that it's really player-led. The way you change the state, and I said this the other day on SportsDem, culture is a buzzword I hate. Culture is a word that's used by people who don't understand how a locker room works. But I will tell you what good coach does look like to use that is when players dictate the culture. And the best way to do that is if you got, 25 incoming freshmen who are all on point and they're dictating the pace, they're liking each other, that's going to come in. And if it doesn't infect those who are already there, you get another class like that, and now you got 50 kids or 50 guys who are all on the same page. We're going to try to bring Florida State back, and the person who does that the best would be Nico. And I've got a chance to learn a lot about Nico because Nico trains with Denny Thompson at 6 Points now here in Jacksonville, Florida, my radio co-host. And all Denny did was rave about the type, not the athletic ability. Some of the things that he talked about as far as what Nico can do right now, give hope, but doesn't give immediate hope. But what the thing is that he has is personality that's contagious. Like, now I understand why Nico getting on the field, talking to Coleman, the 5-star wide receiver Coleman, talking to these guys, and guys want to play with Nico because Nico is just straight up fun to be around. He's a great guy to be around. He's a great addition. He's a lightning rod. He is what Travis Hunter is on defense in terms of recruiting on offense. And when you got guys competing, and now Denny's obviously a little bit cautious because the last time we had a defensive guy and all guy competing about who can get recruits, I don't think either one of them came. And that was with Jeff Sims Josh Griffin was on the other game. They were both competing to try to get the guys in. So, but I think it was good. There's a picture of all of them gathering in front of the Unconquered statue before they went into the game. And I don't know how this happened, but I'm going to pin Nico down when he comes to Jacksonville in May because he's going to tell me because I want some of the gear. I need to know where the truck breaks down on 75 or I-10 that has all the FSU gear in it. That all these recruits somehow have. I'm not insinuating anything because I don't know. All I know is I've never seen that gear sold, and I want some. So.
Yeah, they were dressed out like were on the team already, or they're alumni. They were getting hooked up with a care package, or something's going on. Something. You might need to check the shipping packages. But yeah, that we left the stadium, and it was just fans all over Nico and Travis Hunter, and they just Nico came and talked to us. He said, "This is absolutely insane, man. I've never seen anything like this." And it's really rare that you get this kind of opportunity too. It's probably the only opportunity that we'll see. Maybe this will be a new kind of movement that some recruits will do, or maybe some big leaders like a Travis Hunter, a Bell Cow, like Nico will do. But usually they're just going straight to their gate. They're getting inside the more. They're going through their tours for this. So you never really get to see the recruits. But this time, it got leaked, and Nico put the map there on where they were going to be at the Unconquered statue. So they were all flowing there and taking pictures and allowing media outlets to interview them. And they were taking pictures with fans and selfies with little kids and everything. So I think they got the true like kind of feeling of how that is, kind of like the Tallahassee vibe and how serious football is to some of these recruits that aren't even committed to Florida State. And they got to see the realness of what Tallahassee has to offer, even when if it's crappy weather. Florida State fans, if there's football going on, they will be there because they're crackheads. It's just like FSU Twitter. FSU Twitter fans are literally the craziest people in the world. James knows that. They literally have articles written about FSU Twitter. The fans are insane. So having the fan base be able to interact with these guys, I think just was another recruiting tool for them to really get a feel like how homey this kind of town is and how serious it is. And it goes and helps on with Mike Norvell's pitch and how Tallahassee can favor them in a lot of ways. And FAMU's not too far down the road.
They was on campus. That's what shocked me. Like, I'm from Tallahassee, so people don't, well, obviously, both of us are from Tallahassee. But
yeah,
Nico and them was in Holton Street. And, which is around the corner from FAM. That ain't where I'm going at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Holden Street, where I'm trying to hang out. And I'm not from too far from over that way. But that I always tell people there's 2 campuses. There's 3. There's 3 Tallahassees. There's the college campus, then there's like the city, and then there's the country. And most people never leave the college campus. But these cats went into the city, and I was kind of taking. I was like, man, look at these guys. Look at these youngins, man. I ain't mad at it. It was fun. They probably had a blast. Probably almost died too. But some of the best moments I had in college kind of teetered between I might die, or I might have the best story of my life.
Yeah.
So staying with the recruiting, you lost one, you gained one over the weekend. So we'll talk about the loss first. Quincy McAdoo out of Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
And he was one of Mike Norvell's first offers, from what I understand.
Not his. I wouldn't say his first offers, but he's one that's. I wouldn't say even committed for too crazy long, but he's a talented wide receiver, but it just wasn't going to last too long, maybe, because I think Florida State right now has maybe some guys that might have some more talent over him. I don't think Florida State has really been on him as much. Probably right, James. I think they, just like we were talking about earlier, I mean, there's guys like Kevin Coleman out there. There's guys like 5-star athletes out there that were actually in attendance that are, I think, swaying in Florida State's favor. They feel pretty comfortable where they don't need to be pressing too hard on McAdoo, and they'll allow Arkansas to dip in there and take them. So I think that's the whole situation there. I think he's a great kid, talented. I think he's going to, wherever he goes, he's going to be a baller. But right now, I think Florida State is at a point, which is a nice point to be at, where they can take, guys that are above him and try to nab him. And I think Florida State's in a good spot. I know you lose a wide receiver, but like I said, there's some cats out there that I think are in FSU's favor.
That's basically what it's basically the same thing. I mean, it's one of those things where I would lie and say he's whatever. And it is that you don't want to lose it. It doesn't look great with the momentum, but it's also somebody that if we were to get Coleman, or if we were to get, I think some of the two of the three targets that you're after right now, you probably see this kid get processed out. So I think the kid did what was best for him, and he'll probably end up going back to Arkansas. They're recruiting him really, really hard, and I think it's, I'm going to attribute how good of a recruiter Sam Pittman is. So that's really what I want to, I'll say that more to not look like I'm bashing the kid.
Yeah, and I think also we were hearing a lot of things after the spring game. Nate was hearing some things that Florida State received a wide receiver commit on Saturday. So, and it's one that's a silent. So it makes sense. I think Florida State had a chance after this weekend or in the next before the month's over. I think there's 2 wide receiver commits that come in, or at least are silently committed. I think Florida State is in a good spot right now in the wide receiver room, at least. So
why silent commit? Does that person want to go back and maybe clean up a few things and have some discussions with some other people so they're not hearing from somebody else?
I'm not sure. I've never. Maybe James can comment on maybe why some players recruits would decide to silently commit. I know that Nico was on our pod last week, and he admitted that Florida State does have a few silent commits and some that will shock the world. He was hyping that up quite a bit. And then that was just last week. And then this weekend it happened where we were hearing things that a wide receiver silently committed. And I was told right off the bat from Nico about a player that committed to them that is also silent. And I think in the next couple of weeks, like I said, before the month is over or before the football season starts next year, I think a lot of these guys are going to make it public. But I think a lot of them just kind of want to keep it private. And let other schools really try hard with them and get in contact with them. Maybe it's all really kind of up to some recruits. Some guys are different.
I think right now, well, traditionally, all it means is that you're kind of trying to spot, because a lot of schools are going now. Let's say coach gives them five scholarships for the wide receiver position, and you're recruiting 50. And like, all right, coach, I'm almost there, ready to give it to you, but I gotta, like you just said, I gotta see a couple more things. With the NCAA announcing June 1st, they're lifting the dead period. That probably also made a lot of kids be like, all right, now I can go see campuses that I haven't been able to see for a year and a half. So you want to go see more stuff, but you want them to still recruit you, but you also don't want them to know that you're already bought in hook, line, and sinker. Because one of the things that I've seen happen is once you really commit, like let's say in particular the quarterback position, once you're off the board, another school has to completely move on. Very few kids at quarterback position still get recruited by everybody once they commit. But if you're silently committed, you're keeping your options open just in case, the craziness happens. And let's be honest, the way Florida State has been in the last 5 years, the craziness can happen. And between having a coach decide that, he quote unquote left in the middle of the go take a $7 million a year job, another coach getting fired in a year and a half basically, and then COVID happened. Man, you got to keep all your options open when you're a big time guy. The other thing though is it's great to have these stories and it's great to share these things, but we had a secret group chat last year and we had a ton of silent commits until we looked at the games. The biggest thing that Florida State has to do is not go out. No matter how small they are, no matter how underdeveloped, or what people think they do, they got to win. If they win 8 games, 9 games really as a re-gift, that's a national championship for us right now. I'm not saying go scream like Miami fans that we're back. But what you'll see that recruiting class for 22 and 20 for the 22 wrap up, and really 23 and 24 will be stupid. Fine.
No, you're completely right. It will be ridiculously stupid if they reach an 8-win season. I meant to mention Travis Hunter here too, and he is the bell cow of the bell cow. He's on a different level. I think across this whole country. I think he's by far, the best athlete in this class. And he was in attendance in Tallahassee since, at least from what I was told, Wednesday. Nico made it sound like he was there start off on Monday. But this guy was actually in town on Wednesday, meeting up, welcoming recruits coming into Tallahassee, making sure they were set up straight, having dinners with them, talking with them, doing some literal recruiting for the entire week, I would say. And a guy of that caliber that is showing out every single weekend and making kids that are really talented kids that they're facing on 7-on-7s, making them look stupid, and he still makes them look stupid when they put the pads on too. We'll see whenever he plays this upcoming season. that kind of stuff and the presence that he has, it really dwells well for Florida State, what they're trying to do in bringing in playmakers. And there's still a lot of playmakers that are out there that Florida State need to grab that are very high targets. And I think leaving Saturday, at least looking at the bell cow with Travis Hunter, he seemed pretty happy, all smiles after the game. It felt like he had a successful weekend. I believe him and Nico didn't leave Tallahassee until Monday or Tuesday. So that these two were in town for quite a long while. But Travis Hunter, the guy that you want to have in there, who's an alpha, and people want to be around him. It was good to see Travis Hunter taking a big role this week. He was practically taking the role for Florida State's football staff, I would say.
Mark, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a Travis Hunter fan. If Travis Hunter doesn't come to Florida State, I promise you.
That's it. I'm done.
People think I talk real about Mike, even though I've had Mike Norvell on my show last week. It was great. We've had phenomenal conversations the last couple of days. I swear I'll cut Mike slap out if he loses Travis Hunter. Because Travis Hunter's the first high school kid that I've ever told my son, that's what you do. Watch him. Mm-hmm. Forget these college guys. Like, I've never seen anybody do that on a high school level. And I know people will say, well, Reggie Bush and all that. No. What he's doing is like at wide receiver and at DB makes absolutely no sense. Like, you're not supposed to be. Nobody's supposed to be that much better at high school than everybody else around. Like, it's not running away. It's like, he's getting the ball, so 2-3 people on him, right? And he still beats them. It's just some of the catches, the body torque, the manipulation. Like him. And he competes.
Yeah. Get ready, Mark, because we'll probably be throwing highlights on here once we get into his football season.
I love that. And I have to make an exception because people are asking me about high school film all the time. And I always say, I don't have time to go back and watch all these high school football players. I wait till a spring game. I wait till I can see them in week 1 of their freshman season. I just got to wait until they can play college ball. I don't have time to be chasing down all this film. But this guy is obviously, we hear from James, Reggie Bush, I heard, not comparable on that end of it to Reggie Bush.
Yeah, it's different, man. It's like one, what's the kid? Went West Virginia from Fort Myers.
Tavon Austin?
No. He's with Dion. He was like, I can't think of his name. He's got the greatest high school highlights I've ever seen. Reggie Bush is like second. I think Tavon Austin has one of those that's up there as well. But like, Mark, when I'm talking about, you got to go look up some of his shit. I hate 7-on-7 with a passion.
Yeah.
You got to look up some of the stuff that he does on 7-on-7. Like, the guy's backing, and he's like pointing at him like, come on. Like, that ain't going to do nothing. Then he runs his route. like it's just, and he's not going up against, this isn't the weaker 7-on-7 teams. These are some of the, like, every 7-on-7 team is an all-star team. They just might not be better than other all-star teams. So he's going up against the best of the best and just straight up dominating them. And then he went to South Florida Express one week, and they're one of the better ones in the nation. And he's still the player on their team. So it's very respectable. Like I said, I hate when people send me their kids' film because I tell the truth. Like, if you send me your child's film and you ask to look at it, if I can't get past the first 2 or 3 plays, I'm gonna tell you your kid sucks. So I do that a lot. But when I'm watching him play, I'm watching like 7-minute highlights, and I don't have to give to a kid. But I'm sitting there watching it, enjoying it, because each play, I'm like, he's not gonna do that. No, he's not. Oh my God, he did that. It's just
Okay. Marquise, thank you so much for the comments. So Mark is alluding to, I shot and posted a video the other day where I ranked everybody in college football 1 to 130, not these particular teams in 2021 or not historic rankings, but I ranked the programs 1 to 130. Where's Florida State ranked? So check out the video, and then I'm going to follow that up with a live call-in show at 8:00 Eastern time. And I gave everybody some homework to go watch that video, and we're going to break it down, and everybody's going to call in and harass me and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. So Please watch the video. If you want to call in tonight or leave comments in the live chat at 8 o'clock Eastern time on my 1 through 130 rankings. All right, James, you don't watch any high school tape very often. Do you know anything about Rodney Hill, though? What do you guys think of him, the athlete out of Georgia, 45th rated in the country, according to 247 Sports?
I got a chance to watch that because I was hearing, but when he decommitted, I heard the buzz about him possibly being one of the guys committed to Florida State. One of those kids that almost got his highlight film cut off because of the way they organized it. But if you get past like the third clip, which the first three aren't bad, it just shouldn't be in the front. You get past the third clip, I believe it's like a big, like he gets a big run. But he plays like running back, wide receiver. Kind of reminds me of what Mike Norvell does at Memphis with that wide receiver running back hybrid. And I think it's just solid. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna like do a backflip. It's not bad. It's just solid. And now I've heard some things about him off the field, like not like he's a bad kid or anything, but that made me question the competitiveness of him. But that happens. That's all. That could be a bad report from a bad coach. But when I watched the film, he's definitely a tough player. He also can play defense. So all around, like I said, he's a 3-star. Add depth, could develop into something really, really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I haven't been able to actually watch a lot of them. It's been a wild last couple of days, and I got exams coming up, so I've kind of been a little busy trying to focus on maybe graduating soon.
You're a businessman, Logan. You're past all that. What are you talking about exams? I figured that was all beneath you.
Still got exams, man.
When you got the Chick-fil-A check, I thought
it was over. It was over. I wish. I think my family would slap me. But no, I think the funny thing, what my take is that he practically committed to Florida State while in Virginia after being in Virginia. I think that's bold, and I like it. And he had been committed before Saturday. I know he made his announcement then, but he had told everybody, he was already in the group chat and such. So I'd like to see a little bit more before I talk on him. But it seems like the current commits were very excited to land him, and I think the staff is too. So yeah.
Right out of the gate, guys, we got a critical comment about this football facility from a Florida State fan, one of our regulars. I don't think I can go back and find it, but anyone, the very first comment to the show was one of our regulars who basically said this facility's nothing great.
Well, here's the thing. So there's a house that I want here in Jacksonville. It's amazing. Like 6,000 square feet. But I ain't there yet. We gotta get a lot more clicks. I gotta get a lot more advertising before I can buy it. The house is cool, but a house without the layout and design, without furniture, and without the means nothing. How I fell in love with it, had a man cave, had TVs everywhere. They laid that mess out well. You're looking at 3 photos and saying that the football-only facility isn't going to be good. What's going to make the football facility isn't the weight room. The weight room literally looks just like the weight room now, just cleaner because it's new. But what their what the training table look like, what the meeting rooms are going to look like, what the player lounge is going to look like, what the rehab and restoration facilities are going to look like. There's only so many different ways you can flip it. Now, once that gets done, we're gonna have to build a new one in 10 years anyway. But now you have the more that you could actually tear down and build back up, which a lot of people don't remember. I remember what the more looked like before it looked like what it is now, because I came in that recruit and I got a chance to be the first guys to actually go inside what the athletics facilities are now. So I say stall it out. It's not going to be the Taj Mahal. You only have so much space to actually build it for it to be close to the stadium.
Oh, did it go through? Did I lose him?
Yeah, we lost James. I don't know what happened there.
I think someone called him because he was like oh. And then, but I think I was typing while he was talking, but there he is. Now you can go. Did someone call you?
I got a phone call. Like, wow.
I knew it.
Anyway, but long story short is you haven't seen how the inside is going to lay out. Nobody put that out. Now, what I will say is this, and I saw somebody, sometimes our fan base is amazing. Somebody kind of went right at the head of one of the, again, similar publication sites. And yes, it's kind of what I reported on a couple years with Tag. They use a similar model. So I know what the inside's going to look like. It'll be fun. It's going to be great. It's going to be exactly what we need. It's going to serve a purpose. And now what we've got to do because we don't have the space that Alabama has, because we don't have we don't have all of the true tools to be able to be great. We have to be able to do things like what we're doing with the Apex program. We got to be innovative with what we have. And I think that's really where the money is, because at the end of the day, you really don't have a lot of space. Until it's really all the way built out, I'm going to probably serve judgment. I can say that. I may walk in and be like, where the hell is the slot? Like Clemson. But I'm sure when I walk in, I'm going to be like, yo, this is pretty good. And that's coming from a guy who's seen Georgia, Clemson, Bama. I've seen Florida's facilities. It'll be a top 10, top 15 facility when it's all said and done, which is respectable for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, if anybody's feeling like this facility is gonna be a disappointment, I don't know what else to say. If we're looking at renderings, there's a reason why it's also called renderings. There's not going to be everything detailed. It's not even anything that really, I'm not going to argue with any kind of silliness. That was just ignorant comment by whoever it was. But this facility has got a lot of money backed up behind it. There's been a lot of focus towards it for 5 years, 6 years. I think they're going to figure it out and be just fine. It's going to be top notch. I really do believe with the firm that they're working on building this with, I think they're going to take care of business and be just fine. Because with the way, being able to actually look at Clemson, and they've already got theirs done, but try to up that's where the advantage that Florida State's going to take. And they have a big plus in doing that. And they most certainly are going to look at Clemson's and figure out, how can I make this better? How can I talk with my players right now? Figure out, whenever you went on your visits, you still stick with us with Florida State, but how can I make it better? How can we make it a better experience? How do I make it so you want to spend time here for majority of your time? I think Florida State's going to be just fine. That's just, I know $100 million isn't going fully to it, but $60 million, I think things are going to be just fine. And to me, the renderings look incredible. I don't know what sorry. I don't know. If you're able to get that after kind of the rough couple of seasons that Florida State's gone through, and you still get this kind of product right here, sorry, it looks nice to me. I think it'll be just fine. Better than what they're doing right now, splitting the gym with the track team and the swimming team. James,
way better. I gotta get ready to go do radio, but
Thanks, man.
See y'all next week.
Yes, James. Be good, man. Be safe.
All right, super chats are coming in. Appreciate that. BGPO Football Funk. Is Georgia Clemson bigger than Florida State Alabama? And he means 2017. To me, it's just not worth discussing. But if you're going to ask the question, because both were huge games, so you had Florida State Alabama, if I remembered correctly, a 1-3 matchup, and Georgia and Clemson are going to be two of the top 4 to 5 teams in the country. So 1 and 3 can only be bigger by one spot. And again, it's week 1. So if you're number 3 in the country, you might as well be number 1 or 2 or 5. That means you're highly considered and highly rated. They're both huge matchups. We know what happened with Bama, Florida State. Unfortunately, that was kind of the beginning of the end when you talk about where Florida State football was coming off a Orange Bowl win, a top 10 finish, 10-3 season, and then facing up with Alabama in a highly anticipated game. And it all went downhill with the injury to DeAndre Francois. It was a decent game against Bama. They were within 10 points in the fourth quarter, lost 24-7. James Blackman, deer in headlights, and that's not a criticism to him. That's just the position he was placed in. And then, of course, they didn't have the type season they were supposed to have, and it's been all downhill since then, and Alabama's continued to be the gold standard. Georgia-Clemson, enormously huge game. Clemson, unless the biggest surprise is pulled in college football this season, is going to win the ACC again. Georgia's got a tougher road, of course, so it may be a bigger game for Georgia because they got to stay out of that 2-loss situation and can't get tagged with a loss by Clemson necessarily. It's going to hurt them more than it hurts Clemson. So just my thoughts there.
Yeah, Florida State lost that game. I think the whole downfall of Florida State, I think Jimbo would still be here if a pass interference was actually called on, I believe, I know his name too. I know his name. But anyways, it was Nyquan Murray was open in the end zone, and he was getting tackled in midair, and we could see the ball about 2 feet away from him. That never got called. Yep. That would have led them into a great halftime in 2017.
And check that out.
I think that's exactly what did it. It's a beautiful shot too. It was a beautiful picture that was taken. Shout out to whoever took that picture. But I think that was the beginning of the downfall for Florida State. I think every FSU fan knows about that play right before halftime. Would have been, I think I would have put Florida State in the lead headed into half, if I'm correct, because they already had a shot to Auden Tate in the first half too, over Marlon Humphrey. Tough times, man. Tough times. That was a terrible no call. One of the worst I've seen. And I think that's what created the downfall. It sucks. Just a little thing. Little thing.
Oh, if you go through college football history and tear it apart, it is a lot of little things. A lot of little things. And NFL history, the same thing. Khalil Young. Khalil, I'm going to let you know we're going to take our best stab at this, but this may not be the best time and place. We would like to get the whole crew in here to weigh in on this one, but we appreciate the super chat so much, Khalil. Hope you know that. If you could pick one each from these positions: defensive tackle, defensive end, linebacker, defensive back, left tackle, wide receiver from Florida State's past to play this year, who would it be? Player can't be from any class before 2000. So post 2000, man, we may need to get back to this one sometime because I'm just going to be all over the place. Just you're grabbing like 6 players, Khalil.
If you pick one from each of these positions, player can be from any class before 2000. Okay, so I could pick a 2013. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could pick a 2013 Timmy Jernigan.
20 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's
I could
your
pick
D tackle.
I could pick I got Timmy Jernigan. That's one of my favorite players. That's easy money. Defensive end. For 2000. I'm trying to think. It's tough. This one's a tough one. Would I say Warner?
Oh yeah, Warner.
Would I go Warner? I'm missing someone else that was on the opposite side of him too. That tandem was nasty. Oh my god.
All right. If we're just strictly looking, this is obviously the place to start is 2013.
Yeah, it's good. And 2010
all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. 2010, 2011 really had some good cats too, like Warner. I'm missing a name here, and I'm going to lose my mind because I'd probably maybe even pick him over Bourne. But yeah, I'd probably go Bourne for D end. Linebacker, give me this is kind of easy here. Give me Telvin Smith. DB, maybe the guy that has probably 10 houses in California and LA. Give me Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
That's about as easy as it gets. I'd also, for honorable mention, I'd throw in, of course, Derwin James. Left tackle. That's such an interesting, not just an offensive lineman, but a left tackle. I mean, Rhodes could play almost probably any position. He's by far Florida State's one of their best offensive linemen. I feel like Rhodes could almost be put at anywhere on offensive line. So I'd probably go Rodney Hudson, who still is about to be in the Hall of Fame. He should be in for the NFL. And then wide receiver for 2000s. Honestly, give me Rashad Green. Give me Rashad. Yeah, I think Rashad. I mean, incredible wide receiver. Maybe isn't thought of as much as the golden days with you got Peter Work, Anquan Bolden.
Khalil, we will come back when we got Jason on here. I'm sure he'll have his list, and we'll serve up this question for Jason as well. And I will dive in as well. So we'll save that one for a little bit later, but we appreciate it. TFJ Boxing, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that so much. Khalil coming back with another one. Why do you guys think the 14-17 teams? So let's remember 2014 went undefeated, ran into Oregon in the Rose Bowl. The final score was a blowout, and they did look bad in the second half, but that was an 18-13 game in the third quarter. 15, of course, was the team that went to the Peach Bowl. Dalvin Cook lost to Houston there. Close game with Clemson, and that's pretty much where the scales tipped in the ACC. 2016, the team we just talked about, won the Orange Bowl, beat Michigan, top 10 in the nation. Then, of course, 2017, I will argue with Jason, and already have about 50 times on this, that even though they went 7-6, that team was so much better than anything since then. It's not even close. Why are these teams glossed over as if they were terrible? Well, how do you feel about those teams and Francois' career here in general? So I give you my general thoughts on that. I think that the 14 team was not nearly as good as the 13 team, but they still skated by undefeated. I think they were one of the 6 or 7 best teams in the country. I think the 15 team that I just outlined, what they did that year was a legitimate top 10 team, and so was the 16 team. They were all well inside the top 10 teams in the country. And the 17 team, again, athletically, the roster, the lineup was definitely one of the top 5 to 10 teams in the country. Then when the wheels came off, they didn't play like it, but they still were playing like a top 25 team.
And first of all, shout out to Khalil. I like that your avatar you got there. That is a crisp. That's by far, I think. And first of all, shout out to an FSU fan coming in here and donating a little money to the show.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. We're very rare with seeing this. Usually we got Miami fans or Clemson fans or rolling in with his weird Euro money, saying silly things in the chat. I've already seen 3 blasphemous comments from Ronan in the chat from him. But anyways, going back to the question here, I think, Mark is great with detailing those teams one by one, so I don't really need to go back and comment on it. But the 14 team was a really good team. Some will say that there was more talent on the 14 team than the 2013. Some will say, because there was a lot of talent on the 2014 team. I mean, you still have a young Jalen Ramsey. You also had a Dalvin Cook coming into 2 players right now that are balling both offensively and defensively in the NFL. So that take on 2014 is rough. I mean, it's Dalvin Cook as a true freshman. Really did fumble the ball there. You could tell that he was a youngin and a big spotlight, and it showed. So it stinks on that. And just jumping all the way to 2017, you lose your starting quarterback. You're throwing in a cat that only saw high school playing time. And, Francois, I think, was going to have a pretty good year after a great start in 2016. It really killed a lot of things. And Jimbo's feet both of them were out the door, I think, after that Alabama game, and wanted to move over to the SEC because there was always talk about, if you're not going to go compete in the SEC, then, why are you even coaching? And his ego, he's got a big ego and he's going to do what he wants. So it really hurt that team. And then also, how do you feel about those teams and Francois' career, mainly the Francois' career here? I think Francois, I don't think was really a phenomenal fit for Florida State's locker room. Just too many things that just seemed to come out of it that really started a lot of diverging groups in that locker room. Some guys that were ready to kill for Francois, and some that really, I don't think, had a ton of respect for him, maybe because there's things that off the field that were being done, or maybe on the field, and get into fights with certain players. But I think that really maybe stepped down his potential there at Florida State, and killed a lot of things, because you had a James Blackman coming in that obviously it wasn't at the talent as DeAndre Francois, but was extremely liked on the team. Whereas DeAndre Francois, he had kind of his own clique around him that really was, invested in him. Most of them had grown up with DeAndre Francois, like Jack West Patrick, guys, even like DJ Matthews. It was a rough career, I think, for DeAndre Francois, and then eventually being let go from the team didn't help anything. So I think his career, it stinks, because I think he was an extremely talented quarterback, and one of the few that were able to make it out, because you look at DeAndre Johnson and also Malik Henry. I mean, Florida State was extremely stacked at the quarterback position, and Francois was the last one left. But I think there was a few things that I think Jimbo missed out on when doing some more research on the guys that he was bringing in, and it was a crappy situation.
Ronan on cue. There he is. Look at that.
Supporting Logan's education, Jason's love life, and educating FSU's delusional fan base. Well, I put out a tweet today, and it's doing very well, and I really just wanted to kind of rile up the Miami fan base, because they really have nothing much to look forward to next season. So I was trying to get some interaction with them today, and I tweeted that, and it is true, it's 100% true, that Dalvin Cook is 2 times better than whatever Miami ever had at running back. And, they're trying to come after me and say that, that's so much for a second rounder. We're talking about college career first off, number one, and secondly, also, Ronan, because I know you're going to get in here and get all feisty too. Secondly, a second rounder that has been in arguments throughout the last couple of seasons for being an NFL MVP. I'll take the second rounder like that. I think. I mean, I might. I don't know. But yeah.
See, this is where I think the draft selection makes sense or doesn't make sense. This is where it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Is when, if you're just, let's say somebody has a great college career, they're a bust in the NFL, but they had a great college career and they were, let's say, a first round pick. You can say, to validate their college career, they had the potential to be a really good player at the next level, but they didn't do it, but they got picked in the first round. Okay. But once somebody gets drafted, regardless of where they got drafted, or if they didn't get drafted, they were a free agent, but then they go to the next level and they ball out, then their draft selection doesn't matter. Like, I don't think anybody's going to question Tom Brady's draft selection at this point. It's almost a joke where he got drafted, because he's arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. So he got drafted in the 6th round. There's guys that get drafted all over the place. So Dalvin Cook, he's balling out at the next level. He is playing like a first rounder. The Rod Farvas throwing in Johnny Manziel, first rounder. Tim Tebow, first rounder. Were they NFL players? Nope. They didn't turn out to be. Tim Tebow, to a certain extent, didn't get a full shot, but yeah, he was clearly not a first-rate quarterback. Yeah, so Dalvin Cook, that's just not debatable. His greatness at both levels, regardless of where he got drafted. Miami has had a long list of tremendous collegiate and NFL running backs, but I've got to put Dalvin Cook on the top of the list. If you put both schools together, yes. Willis McGahee would be the best at the next level, along with, of course, Frank Gore at the NFL level. Now let's see Dalvin Cook's career play out. He's a better back than Frank Gore. Frank Gore stuck around the NFL forever, to his credit, and compiled a ton of statistics and will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because of just lasting a long time, being really good, but never great, just lasting a long time.
Yeah.
And certainly Warwick Dunn was a great back at Florida State as well, probably in that number 2 spot.
I have just a little thing here, and I was going to see, I think Ronan's in this picture, and I'm just kind of stepping up here just for 1 second for Jason. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, that's it right there.
Take this off the screen. Let me do that.
Let me see. Is this Ronan right here? I'm trying to. This looks like, I think Ronan's a visor guy, and he's got it backwards. Or that's a headband, but seeing that sad face, and I know for sure, and this is probably why Miami fans really didn't do a lot of talking. Usually they're all over you. They come after you. They have the Miami Twitter, or whatever it's called, the Kane Twitter. They come after you. But today it was really silent. All they had was the second round thing, which was really pitiful. I thought they'd have a better argument today, but really, really disappointed with Miami Twitter today. But I was trying to find a few of them in the stands, and definitely it was good to see Ronan right here. I don't know what this is. This is definitely a Miami fan, but it looks like he's celebrating with Dalvin Cook. I love this shot right here with the 305 right in front of everybody. This ready for bed. Dalvin Cook's done it again to us, ate us alive. Yeah, no, I just love going back and looking at that, and it's just tough. That's like their scary movie, Mark, for Miami fans, seeing an image like this, or just when they hear doubt, oh my God, they kind of seize up a little bit. So it was a great day for me on Twitter. It's a nice day. There's no argument for it. No argument.
Good stuff. Mr. HD calling me out on Frank Gore. All right, Frank Gore. This is my call. It's all opinion. We can state stats and facts, and they matter. I am just stating that based on what my eyeballs tell me is that Dalvin Cook is a better back than Frank Gore. Frank Gore has accomplished more in the NFL because he's older and he's played forever. And yes, he was extremely, extremely good. I don't know if I'm going to take Frank Gore to that greatness level, like all-time great level. But yeah, his NFL career, all due respect to Frank Gore, he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He will be in the Hall of Fame, and he should be. And he's lasted forever, 16 years. But no, he didn't have 9 straight 1,000-yard seasons. I'm looking at it right now. He had 9, not 9 straight, but 9,000-yard seasons. That's phenomenal. Yes.
And one last thing here, I was going to say this shot that's inside of the stadium. I guess I can't say it's that great because it is in the Miami Dolphins stadium, not even the Miami Hurricane stadium. It's in the Dolphins stadium. So I will say it's not that great, but at least they're near the Miami area. That's what maybe I can say.
All right. It always goes back to this, doesn't it? It just always goes back to this.
I can't wait to have call-in shows. I want to hear from Ronan's line from Germany or wherever he is. I can't wait.
We're going to deliver on that at some point here.
Oh, no. Khalil Young, I didn't get a chance to pick safety, or I would have, what was it, DB? You got to clarify me. If I'm talking cornerback and safety, then they would be two different animals. If I'm talking cornerback, by far it'd be Xavier Rhodes at corner. I'd throw probably Jalen Ramsey at safety, or it's hard because LaMarcus Joyner was more of a nickel. So that's why I need some selection here. I got a lot I can work with this.
No doubt. All right, folks, man, it's been a tremendous show. We've gone all over the place, coming off of the spring game into recruiting, into facilities, and then, yeah, it always gets back to the rivalry. So that's all right. I'll take it. I love it. And, man, it just makes me think that maybe I got to size up 2001 Miami and 2013 Florida State, because that's always coming at me. And maybe I'll size up those teams and make a call on that one someday.
Yeah.
All right, Logan. Appreciate it so much. Logan Robinson, NoleGameDay. You got to catch him there. Got to do it. Hear the Spear podcast as well.
Oh man, I love the Miami chat. They are my favorite. Ronan's one of my favorites. But yeah, I'm just trying to be. I feel like I'm like in the stands in the Dolphins stadium. I kind of get the vibe. But I also didn't run for over 200 yards, so. Maybe one day I can in that Dolphins stadium.
That's great. All right, Florida State fans, Miami fans, and everybody else that joins us on a regular basis. Yes, Lewis, I will get something to eat, and I got to build graphics for this 8 o'clock show because we're running down our 1 through 130 program rankings. So where's Miami? Where's Florida State? You'll find out. All right, Logan, always appreciated, man.
Thank you, Mark. Everybody have a good evening.
Everybody else, we'll see you back here at 8 p.m. Eastern time.